Ooby-doo, it's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. And I thought I would revisit the Canon Powershot G15. You notice I have two of them. And you say, oh, well, boomer, how'd you come by two of these cameras? Well, I bought one when the G16 came out, and it was like $150 off. So I had that one brand new. And then I was using it for quite a number of years. I was taking a walk in the park, and there was like a babbling brook, but there's a lot of water, so there's like some slippery rocks. And I had the thing hanging around my neck, and I slipped on a rock. And as I bent over to save myself from taking a dunking in like a little pool, the camera got a momentary dip. It was only in the water for like 5 seconds. And of course I managed to bang my shins up pretty bad too. So that was neither here nor there. And then, well, that was it. It's not waterproof. It's a rugged camera. It's got a magnesium body. It's, I found it, well, it's moisture resistant. You could go out in the fog and take pictures with it. If you're going to be in the rain, you need an umbrella, of course. But I sent it into Canon, and I didn't know how much they're going to charge. You know, as it's a 5-year-old camera. Well, I think I paid $500 for it because the list price was close to $600, if you believe that. So I had the original battery. I bought an extra battery. I bought the 1.4x multiplier for the front. There's a tube. This thing comes off, right? Then you put this plastic tube on, and you screw a lens on the end, and it makes everything 1.4x. But look at this. It's a 1.8 to 2.8. That's powerful. You could do excellent low light photography with this thing. No problem. It has a built-in flash. It has a flash shoe. It has an optical viewfinder, which is really good and very, very bright light, like on snowy days or summer noontime. These cameras shoot amazingly, almost exactly the same. So I sent this thing out, and I didn't know how long it was going to take. And what you know what? I was on B&H, which is a superstore over in the city. And you say, the city? What's that? New York City. And they were selling a demo, a like new demo, for $350, the whole complete package. But it was a white box. I said, hell, I don't know. What if they want $200 to fix this? I could get a like new demo. So I bought this one, came with a battery and all the other goodies. And now I have this one. So what do you think? They kind of finally gets back to me, says they'll charge me $100 and they replace it. So I said, okay. So they sent me one for $100, and one is a replacement, one is a new one. I don't know what they do with the old ones. Maybe they refurbish them and they just merry-go-round them out. Anyway, both of them been very reliable cameras, and they both sort of overexposed a little bit. If you notice here, I'm a little on the minus side for exposure. It's all dials. Check this out. It's all dials. It has a screen. Let's turn one on. So if you press this button, this comes up, and then you use this rocker switch to change anything. I'll leave it on auto for now. And then you could go through all these other things. I like having the grid on because it helps me line things up, although it does have a built-in level. But the built-in level takes up a huge amount of screen real estate, so it sort of defeats its purpose. So let's shut that off. Okay. Here's a review button. Let's see what I got here. Oh, here's a picture of a sign. Let's zoom up. Oh, it's a movie. I can't zoom up. Sorry. A Jeep. This is from a VFW hall in Little Ferry. Menu goes back to full frame. How about that? So it's good camera for walking around and taking pictures of things that ever catches your fancy. This is a friend's dog. He's a big goofy dog. He looks like a normal dog there, but in person he's a big giant animal. And he's a friendly mutt, to be sure, but he's a big giant animal, and all that entails of a dog. So now you see, I didn't have to turn the, I did turn the camera on. Let's do this instead. Suppose you have the camera off and you want to look at a picture. You're looking at a picture and the camera is not on. So all you have to do is hit this button again and it shuts off. So it has a lot of features in it. It's full manual mode. You could adjust all the parameters and it takes really, really good pictures. Does it take excellent pictures? Almost. It almost takes excellent pictures. If I was to take a picture with this camera and say like a DSLR, even a crop frame, it would look a little bit better, have more dynamic range, because this is only a 1-inch sensors compared to those 3x2 crop sensors are somewhat bigger. So you got a bigger sensor, the pixels aren't so stuck together, and you get better dynamic range. But that's not to say it takes bad pictures. It takes excellent pictures. Under dark conditions, light conditions, it does take movies. Here, let's go to the movie mode again. No, not movie mode. This red button, you could press to take a movie in any mode. It has a dedicated mode, but you can take a movie in any mode whenever it strikes your fancy. So you got to hit the button twice to get it going. So basically that was one of those zombie signs on the street. I figured I would take a picture of it. I don't know why. I just wanted to. And that stops it. And that puts that away. So sometimes I take this one out and then I say, oh, I feel sorry for this one. And then I take this one out and I take pictures. And that's just the way it is. Oh, and battery compartment. And it's also where your SD card goes. I have the micro SD and an adapter, no problem. 64 gigabytes, no problem. This is a Watson battery. You could buy brand new Watson batteries for this. They're like 14 bucks, right? So batteries are still available. So I bought 2 batteries. I had the original 3, so I got 5 batteries. And you can leave a battery in these damn things like for 2 months and go out and take a whole day worth of shooting and some movies, and you still have some juice left. So that's a +2. So now following is some more recent samples, photo samples, and a couple of short movies for you to look at the quality. And that's the thing. Can you pick one up cheap? If you can pick one up cheap with a charger and a battery or 2, go for it. You know? And I've never seen one banged up yet. You know, all you have to do is power it on, see if it works, and if it works, you know, buy them. But what can you, you know, I want to say they cost X amount of dollars on the used market, but I don't know, because, you know, inflation and all that stuff is biting into the used market. Where these things used to be $100, well, a dime a dozen, as the saying goes, they cost somewhat more now. And both of these are in really excellent tip-top shape. You might see some that have scuff marks on the corners, or maybe this faux rubber texture stuff is wore out. I don't know if they just painted on or something, but or maybe the screen is scratched up, or maybe there's dust inside the lens or something. But you know, if you get one that's a little beat up, then you haggle a little bit and see if you get a cheaper price. And I highly recommend getting one of these. If you want to have a second camera that's better than your phone, or you know, just more versatile, you want to get into photography and play with features and stuff, you can't go wrong with this. And it's a good second camera. Say you got a big bulky DSLR or a big mirrorless camera, and you know, interchangeable lenses, and you don't want to get all complicated and stuff. You just grab this and go, and that's you can't go wrong with it. It takes excellent pictures. You know, I like AV mode, but some people put it in auto. You know, but you know, you got all these options. I highly recommend you should get one. I mean, if one comes your way and you say, "Oh, I don't know anything about these cameras," well, now you do. They're rugged, although they're not waterproof.
So
but, everything else is great about it.
G15 has excellent color, it's excellent sharpness, it's fully adjustable. I turn the sharpness up all the way, and I adjust the colors down and the contrast down a little bit, because that's the way I shoot. Now, there is a teleconverter which is called the TC-150, and you have to put in on or off in the menu. And at first I thought it didn't do anything, but it does affect the image stabilization, especially when you're taking movies. So it's important that you sort of remember to either turn on or off when you're using it. And this gives you just a little bit of extra reach on the tele end. Of course, if you zoom all the way out, then you get like a telescopic tube effect where it looks like there's a circle in the middle and it's pointless. So you gotta use it on the longer tele end of the zoom, and it works pretty good. Um, I've used it in low light levels like heavy dusk or even at night, especially you're in a big city with lots of lights. The f1.8 or f2.8 really helps, and you can actually shoot adequately with 1600 ISO, and you could shoot all day at 800 if you just want to get depth of field and a fast shutter speed. And as you can see, I like to do nature, and I like to do cities, but not big cities. I like to do like small, out-of-the-way cities like Hackensack, Morristown, Newton, Tenafly, the places where nearby where I live. And this camera is small and inconspicuous. You can hang it around your neck, doesn't weigh very much, and then you could stuff it inside your jacket if you want to. And like I said, it doesn't look like a big bulky camera. But it has all these cool dials and stuff, you know. And some people are into screens and tapping them and swiping them, but I like dials because I'm a boomer. Um, and it's one of the last ones that has dials and an optical viewfinder. And I really think it's a good camera. I mean, if you had to have one camera, you can't go wrong with this. You really can't. I highly recommend it. Now, these are full frame crops of 1920 by 1080, and then it's running through this movie maker software, and I think it fuzzes them out a little bit. And I often what I do is I just sharpen them again, so this way when the software does its compression and everything, they still look sharp. But these pictures are sharp. You may say, oh, why does this one look a little blurry? It's the software is just compressing it too much. That's what the problem is. And you could see that some of them look sharp, and those are the ones I actually sharpened up to compensate for that. And why does it overexpose? I think it overexposes because if you want to make a print, they come out much nicer looking if you're slightly overexposed than if you're underexposed. Of course, usually I end up adjusting the highlights post-processing. But if you shoot at a proper exposure and then print it, they always come out looking dark. So I think that's why they bias this thing to overexpose a little bit. I mean, I have two samples and they both do it. So that's the only thing I could think of. And of course, when it's on a screen, you may want it a little bit darker than when you're printing it. That's just a personal opinion. There's no way I could prove it or not. And of course, you can see I like reflections. I like night signs. You know, all these signs. There are these town centers, these stores. They come and go. They stick around for a year or two, and then they're gone or less. And that's why I always go back to these towns. And maybe I haven't been there a couple of weeks, and I'll saying, "Well, what happened to the store? It's gone." Or of course, churches usually tend to stay in one place forever. And but even churches, I see churches get abandoned. You know. And then there's all local eateries like the Morristown Diner. It's been there for as long as I can remember. And then there's a bunch of strip malls here, and then they all knocked them down and putting up some giant office building. And then there's quaint little hidden corners here and there of the old and the new juxtaposition against each other. So, you know, and all these towns are close by from where I live, less than an hour drive. So, I guess I could go farther afield, but then, you know, the price of gas these days, and then I live in a very congested state, and that's why I try to do things, you know, out of schedule from everybody else. And then you can still see birds and flying by these cities. You know, they're not humongously paved over parking lots yet. So the G15 Powershot G15, Canon makes it. has to be like a 10 or 11-year-old camera. And, you know, they're really worth it if you can pick one up cheap. I really like them. And that's the thing. The autofocus is almost like 99% accurate. It takes a really lot of great pictures. Instead it's like, oh, this one didn't come out so good, gotta get rid of that one. No, they come out really good. And then you can always tweak them and post-process them later more to your liking. And these are hard pictures with like fog and low contrast and close-ups. This is a close-up of a leaf with some frost on it. So get one.